Agent's new patch notes for Title Update 22, Year 6, Season 2. First, we're going to start off with the weapon mods. We're just going to kind of be going free flow through this stuff. Looks like they've boosted up the extended mags. So instead of 10 rounds, they're 15 rounds. But when it gets really interesting is with these weapon mods that are changing the stability and accuracy and optimal range. I mean, there's some potential there. There's a lot of things that you could do, especially on the muzzle, underbarrel, and the optics slot. So a lot of these got buffed. Notice that the critical hit damage mods now do 10%, which puts them on par with critical hit chance. So critical hit chance isn't the only kind of option now. It's not the most efficient option anymore. Definitely something for like SMGs. 30% accuracy is going to be super, super good actually, especially since you're not lacking in crit chance. So definitely a lot more options here that I really like. Yeah, 12% weapon handling, that's really good. 14% reload speed, pretty mid. Definitely want to go for something else like accuracy or critical hit damage. Alright, now some of these talents that got reworked. Perfect Entrench. Cooldown should just go away. Like, if we're being honest, it just needs to go away. But 2 seconds is better, a little bit better than 3 seconds, but still not the best. Gunslinger. This is actually super, super good, especially considering that Obliterate went back down to 5 seconds, and now it's only doing 17. So now this actually gives you more. So hurrah for that. It is only for 5 seconds, so you're going to have to do weapon swapping a lot. But hey, it's still more. And, you know, when you need to reposition anyway, just swap weapons and boom, you're ready to go. Tough to manage, but at least it actually has a good bonus now. Alright, kinetic momentum. Skill damage, total skill damage went up, so that's good. We love to see it. Perfect spark. Going up to 20 seconds, and the perfect version is going up to 18. I haven't seen what happened with Grupo, but Door Kicker's Knock now looking really, really good at 18%. Basically doing obliterate damage, but for longer, 20 seconds, and also on a good piece. Hollow Man is now 14%. I mean, it was always, on the borderline at 10%. Now that being at 14%, that might make a difference for red enemies. It's hard to say, with the hits to kill, but definitely against Chungas and robots, this is going to be a big difference maker, and it's going to save you a lot of shots. It's going to be really good. So I think this is, some of these are really good for brand sets, but also some of the gear sets got buffed, so it's kind of comes out to a wash, especially with some of the brand sets got nerfed. So what are you going to do? Brand sets are still, I think, pretty terrible. Motherly Love, bam, 25% skill health. Okay, so we're going to go over to our spreadsheet. As you can see right here, bam, 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 bam. First skill tier gives you 38% multiplicative shield health. Next one, 18%. And the highest you get after that is 24%. So this is giving you more than a skill tier's worth if you've already got that first skill tier. That is really good. 25% skill health is going to be really good for shields. And for decoys, probably not much else. Alps got a nerf that we'll see later. It's really bizarre, but we'll talk about that. But this is still really good. Firm Handshake, holy smokes, a full 1% more status effects. Picaro's has been nerfed into irrelevancy now. Now you can just run Famous, Petrov, Overlord, what have you. That will give you the same bonus, except for now, instead of wasting a brand bonus, you would just get like crit there or weapon handling or whatever. So this is just objectively worse than any other piece now. Fantastic. What is this called? Invisible Hand, great. Breadbasket, still max stack is 2. I don't know. No. Okay, Eyeless, Ignited, Sadist, where are you at? Thunderstrike, 30%. Damn, that is good. Yeah, these are like best in slot now. I mean, they always kind of have been, but now it's just like ludicrous. Fast Hands got a nerf. It's always been kind of irrelevant in my opinion with something like On Empty, but it's got nerfed even more, and now On Empty is even better. So that's where we're at with that. Killer got a 30% critical hit damage buff. That's, oh yeah, definitely for solo. And if you're a DPS player in a group, you can probably still keep it procced. So yeah, that's insane. Ranger, get a little bit more. So at 20 meters, you'll have 10% amplified damage that you don't have to build up or stack or anything like that. So it's pretty decent. If you just want consistency, go for it. Reformation. Now it gives you 3 or 4 minor attributes of skill repair. It's pretty good. Vindictive got a little bit of a buff. It's more like perfectly vindictive got a buff, but that's okay. Measured might actually not be quite as mid. Might be a little bit better now. On Empty is ridiculous now. You can't reproc it during the duration, but this is still just insane. For you don't have to get a kill or anything like that. You just gotta fire the mag dry and press R once you reach 0, and you've got no penalty, and you're just rocking and rolling. Okay, now moving on to the weapons. So we can see there are lots of nerfs and buffs, lots of changes to reload speed. I'm sure to tune the sustain damage. I haven't noted down the MMRs yet in my spreadsheet, but I've changed everything else. I haven't bothered with the reload speed or the optimal range. The mag size was kind of to see how it pans out. The AUG, for some reason, that's 42. I don't know if that's 42 without the sturdy extended mag. We'll see. Optimal range, they all got changed, which is really bizarre. The SMGs, most of them got a big buff to optimal range. Like, we're talking like 30% for some of them, because they used to be like 15 and now they're 20-ish range, I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so like 18 to 22. That's almost like a 20% increase right there. 16 to 21, that's like a 33% increase right there. Yeah, lots of buffs to the optimal range here. Probably the one that got the biggest change is the M249, which got a huge damage nerf, but got a massive rate of fire increase. So that's actually really interesting. It's good to see. It breaks my heart that the Negev got nerfed in terms of rate of fire. I don't know why you would just, like, you already have something that's in the 850 RPM range. Like, why would you just like switch these two? Doesn't make any sense. But anyway, these are really confusing. I don't get why they made some of these changes. Like, it seems like they just kind of like really, is 1,000 less damage on the ACR really gonna, is that gonna make the difference? Like, I don't know. So we'll take a look at the DPS in just a second, because it's one of the easiest ways to compare all these. The SR1 got a huge damage nerf. That sucks. M700, yeah, pretty big damage nerf too. That's almost 10% right there. Model 700 had a pretty, like, all these had a pretty big damage nerf. Shotguns, yeah, who gives a shit? You use the ACS to stack striker, and that's, you're off to the races. That's the only reason that I use shotguns. Pistols, they all got a damage buff except for the D50. D50 is a bit of a tragedy. It shoots a little bit faster. But yeah, now the kings of Headhunter pistol builds is going to be your revolver. So the Discernos, the Magnums, those are going to be your heavy hitters. And the D50, it might be able to do it, but it's not as reliable anymore. Okay, so this is the old damage, the old DPS So I did damage and then multiplied it by damage targets I cover because it's always the best. Except for with the LMGs, I did calculations a little bit differently, but don't worry about that. So yeah, the mag DPS kind of came out from, like somewhere between 67, 75, and now everything seems like it's kind of tightened up, and that was kind of the point, it seems like. So now everything is basically in the 70s, a little bit higher, but yeah, then this is mag DPS, so we're taking into account the first bullet. Doesn't make that big of a difference, but it does make the higher damage, lower rate of fire weapons a little bit, gives them a little bit of help, kind of, it's more realistic. Again, sustained DPS isn't accurate anymore because I didn't take into account the new reload times. The reload times in game aren't accurate anyway. They're kind of all over the place. And I don't think the empty reload is even accurate to that number, so I don't know why they throw it on there anyway. That might be like the animation time or something like that, but you can start shooting before it's over. So yeah, so I don't know why the FAMAS would get a buff, but here we are. What the hell? 2000 just kind of got reverted back to what it was before, kind of. So it's still really good. It doesn't have, they took out the massive mag sizes, so that's a plus, but nothing super crazy, I guess. Light machine guns are again all over the place. Still, the M60's got a little bit of a buff, but yeah, we're heading higher mag DPS than assault rifles, but yeah, it's still got the handling issues. Pistols actually seem like they're getting in the realm of kind of being competitive if we ignore the fact that they have basically no mod slots. The rifles are still kind of all over the place, but thank God a lot of them you can fire automatic now. That is going to be a huge, huge change. I am completely here for it, and I cannot wait to start using rifles more often. I've always hated them because I've always hated just spamming the trigger over and over again. Not only does it like hurt my finger and get really tedious, you really feel it when you miss because you're, clicking and waiting, like seeing the impact because it's firing so much slower. And so when you miss, you really feel it, and it'll throw your aim off a tiny bit every single time when you're clicking that trigger. So I'm totally here for it. They're still not that great in terms of DPS, and yeah, that's where we're at with that. Submachine guns, as I said before, they got an optimal range increase, but also they're basically in the 800 to 900,000 DPS kind of range. The Chatterbox is going to be ridiculous. I can't wait for that. I mean, it depends on how much the damage actually ends up being, if it matches P90 or not. But if the P90 got a bit of a nerf in terms of damage, but a buff in terms of rate of fire. So if the Chatterbox just gets the damage nerf, then it's going to go down a little bit, but it's got that rate of fire buff, and that should be pretty awesome, especially considering lots of the other exotics got nerfed. PP19, it's doing pretty good. The SMG9 got a big buff, so it's looking really good. Tactical Vector, but the thing that really doesn't make any sense is this Vector 9mm. It does more damage now than the 45, which makes no sense because it also has more ammo. So it's got way higher mag damage, it's got higher DPS, and I think this came out of, honestly, the 45 has the ability to have the link laser pointer on it. So I think that they're deliberately trying to, in essence, get people to stop using flatline. Probably, I would assume that there's a lot of people running flatline, because flatline didn't get changed at all, but all the other weapon talents got buffed. This got nerfed because it's the only vector that can take flatline, and flatline was a pretty common choice for people just because it was always on damage that was amplified. That was pretty good. But still, this doesn't make any sense. Like, if you're throwing killer on here, you're going to be doing way more damage than this thing with with Flatline. Like, it's just no contest. It's crazy. All right, so that covers the weapons. Really, especially in this, with ARs, with LMGs, it all comes down to what gives you the highest hit percentage. Whatever feels best to you is the one that you should use. Especially with things like rifles that have crazy recoil and really poor accuracy sometimes. Just use what works for you. The difference in DPS is either going to be made up by you hitting more shots, or the difference in DPS, like with the ARs, is just so negligible that, like, who cares? Just use whatever works for you. All right, gear and brand sets. Blah, 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 blah. All right, brand sets, golden gear. Great. Less status effects. Like, why? Like, this is just the most random number ever. I do not understand this. I cannot fathom it. Maybe they have some, mega brain, Giga Chad idea in their head that, now for some reason your status effects are just weak enough that they can't chain kill with Eclipse on challenging or something. I don't know, but this just seems really stupid, if we're being honest. Habsburg, less headshot damage. That's not going to make that much of a difference. 2% isn't that big of a deal, especially when you're still getting that 20% marksman rifle damage. Nobody's going for the status effects. All right, Legmo, getting skill haste. That's supposed to be skill health. It might still be 20% skill health. It'd still be pretty good, but now that we have motherly love gloves, just use that instead. Nobody cares. It's okay. That just sucks because it's still worse than Habsburg, so just rub salt in the wound. That is a huge hit. Really, if they wanted to make it in line with things like headshot damage, usually a brand set bonus is 1.5 times the value of a minor attribute. So if this was following the trend, it would actually be 9% critical hit chance, but they've knocked it all the way down to barely above a minor attribute. So don't use Cheshka anymore. Just don't. Just use minor attributes. Don't even think about it. Grupo, 2% critical hit damage. Also, I mean, it was never that efficient, but it was never on, it was never matched up to the efficiency curve. Now you get 1% more critical hit damage than a minor attribute. Also, not good. In the cases where you want critical hit damage anyway, and you might as well, I guess, but it's not great. It's not that huge of a nerf. People are freaking out about it, but I mean, it was never that great, so just don't freak out, okay? Providence, totally destroyed. Don't use Providence, ever. Not anymore. Sokolov, don't use it. Really, what these nerfs are doing is nerfing a bunch of damage, basically, so you want to be using other things like, really the brand sets are just getting ground into the dust. Like, use gear set. Help Summit, same deal. It's just like a random change. I don't understand. Nobody really used this that much, and this isn't that big of a deal breaker. You could already, if you were the healer on the team, you could already heal more than the armor of your teammates. So this change means absolutely nothing. It was never efficient because you get 20% repair skills from a minor attribute, but you also get 20% from Alps. So it's like you might as well just use a minor attribute. Well, now you get even less, so you definitely should never use Alps unless, of course, you're using motherly love gloves. Empress, 5% skill efficiency might still be worth it just because there aren't that many great options, but it's probably better to diversify into a more of a hybrid instead of going all the way for skill efficiency and losing your skill health anyway. You might just want to go for one piece for skill health for a shield build or something, but going to the third probably isn't worth it anymore. Murakami, yuck. Richter and Kaiser, that's really annoying because once again, it's below the efficiency curve, at 20%, and going down to 15, it just makes it even worse. So don't use Richter and Kaiser unless maybe you're using the Forge. Wyvernware, just why? I don't understand this. The 45% skill duration is actually super good. I was testing out some oxidizer builds, and I realized 40% skill duration means you get a really, really durable cloud. It's sticking around for a long while. 45% is even better. So it's neither here nor there. But right now it's pretty good. Hopefully, I would prefer that they just kind of like stick with the way it is right now. 45% incoming repairs, pretty good. Bellstone, I think, is going to be a top tier set for this kind of upcoming. When all your crit brand sets are getting destroyed, you might as well just diversify into other stuff that can give you survivability and help you stay up for longer to do more damage, and use all your minor attributes for crit, since there aren't any good minor attributes anyway besides crit and weapon handling. So just stick with that. Oh, I missed the gear sets. Okay. Hardwired is absolutely insane right now. Get it while you can, because you'll just be able to, like, all those spam seeker builds that have always been around now are just like even better. You can just, by the time you have your seeker detonates, you'll have it back, and you can you can throw it again. Like, just do all your legendaries while you have the chance. Like, it's gonna be great. Aegis got a minor increase. Really, what they need to do is buff this to like something crazy like 10%, just at least to get people to use it and try it out. Because right now, I don't think anybody is even giving this a chance, because it just seems like it sucks. I don't actually care enough to know whether it sucks or not, but it sucks. Heartbreaker got a buff. That's great. Aces and eights, now you can do a rifle. That is fantastic. You'll love to see it. Still not that great, because you're getting amplified damage, but it's not consistent. Hopefully it comes with some crit damage too, and not just headshot and MMR. Ongoing directive got a huge increase for the chest. It's fantastic. Striker got a nerf. Thank God. I'm here for it. Get wrecked. Minus 15% on the backpack. Suck it. Umbra. Yay, more critical damage and more RPM. I think that's what it needed. So I think this is going to feel a lot better. So I'm definitely here for that. Umbra, I think, is approaching being a viable alternative to Strikers and Heartbreaker. Bighorn, nobody cares about the Bighorn. Everything got changed to mods. So basically, the St. Elmo's and the Eagle Bearer switched, where you don't care about the talents that much on these anyway, but you just care about their mod slots. Yay, now the Eagle Bearer is kind of like the best AR. Good. Tank Chameleon's easier to get stacks, so that's great. You might actually be able to run it in the open world, and even if you lose the stacks, you just build them up pretty quickly. Fantastic. Fleet Death got a minor boost. Backfire got that's good. It won't completely kill you if you reload. Chatterbox, as we already talked about, more rate of fire, more crit damage. Hell yeah, more weapon damage. We're here for that. It should be the best. It should be the best SMG in the game. Let's be honest. The Ouroboros has a terrible talent. The talent needs to be changed, and so it's actually something that you care about, and that makes a difference. And its base stat should just be in line with everything else, and like that seems pretty obvious. Whereas the Chatterbox is like, okay, you got to get really close, put yourself in a lot of danger, and then from there you can just pop off. Yay, Iron Lung got critical hit chance. Yay, less weapon damage. Meh. But I'd take that trade, honestly. Blue screen, more reload, more rate of fire. Yes, I love it, especially since you need rate of fire in order to get the stacks, in order to trigger the talent. That's the kind of buffs that actually make sense. It's not just like, hey, more stats. It's like, hey, a stat that actually boosts the talent, what it's actually used for. That's what we need. Yay, Bullet King, Merciless, fine. Vindicator got a buff. Scorpio, tears. You can't rely on the Scorpio as much. Scorpio's always kind of been a crutch, and that's fine. Scorpio is probably going to be a pass now. It's just going to take too long to get those, especially like the 20% damage. You're going to have to go through a reload for that, and that's just going to take too long to do it on, one enemy. I don't know if this is necessarily the right way to go. Alright, new gear. Where are we at? A swap seed Swap speed brand set. Fantastic. Optimal range. Interesting. Weapon damage. Interesting. Getting basically a red core. Perfect versatile. Yeah, that's a lot of damage. The problem is that using this for like a sniper build, you're not going to need the optimal range. So you've got a dead stat in there. Not too big of a deal. But name max visionario, 50% optimal range. This might actually be really good for something like an SMG. If you're running some accuracy, you don't need to run outsider because you're going from like 20 to 30, which is better than an AR. And as long as you've got enough accuracy on there for your mods or from two-piece overlord or something like that, you've got enough accuracy to actually reach out that far. This actually might be a really good option for that. A gear set, just handling and weapon damage, it's okay. This is going to be really difficult unless there is a rangefinder on your weapon or something like that that tells you how far you're going to go. It's switching in between at different ranges, so you've got to hit a rusher and then reach out and kill somebody far away, and then you've got to kill another rusher and back and forth. I don't know how well this is actually going to work in practice. The exotic holster is a big win. I think we've needed a weapon damage exotic other than the coyotes for a long time, and I think this one actually might be a competitor. So your first weapon, in your first primary slot gets 20% rate of fire, 20% weapon damage. That'll be really good for stacking things like Striker and Heartbreaker. And of course, just killing things. And then maybe in your second slot, you have an LMG where you can fire the whole 8 seconds in one mag. And even if you have to reload, you have that really big reload speed to get through that reload. Switch back to your primary, blam, 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 blam. You've got maximum stacks of Striker or Heartbreaker, and you're just laying everybody down. Exotic Foul seems pretty good. Sledgehammer is dead. Alright, Agent. Sorry, that was a long one. That's all I've got for today. Let me know what you think of each of these patch notes. Did I miss anything that you thought was really important? Do you disagree with any of my hot takes in here? Because, that was a little bit ruthless. That was a little bit spicy. So let me know what you think. And until next time, Agents, this has been Dispatch. Take care out there.